On the Fringe with Dan RadioStyle. Hope everybody out there is having themselves an awesome day. Speaker Johnson's pretty pissed off about this whole thing, and I think he's done an admirable job really doing the fighting for the end of the shutdown. We've got a lot of that. I've actually got a pretty good piece of video. He's with the lady who's in charge of the SNAP program. I forget what her position is and her name for that matter, but they'll introduce her. So we've got that whole video. It's actually really good. They take some questions and they cover the whole gambit. And I think it's really, really important to fully understand what's actually happening. There's a lot of claims being made by the left that are false. We're seeing a lot of things. Also, some interesting leaks possibly still happening too. I'm very, very curious about that one as well. We've got a lot to talk about. Got a bunch of video, got a bunch of interesting news too that you guys are going to be excited to hear. And I want to jump into it because we've got a reasonably long show. Should be okay. Here's Trump. It looked like Trump was actually making fun of her basket because her basket looks much heavier than his. She's like having to hold it, and he's just like holding it with a finger. Anyway, I still think it's funny. Nonetheless, Jamaica's catastrophic hurricane that came through, they have a catastrophe bond that is, I guess, poised to pay within weeks after the hurricane went through there. Apparently, it was sufficiently bad enough. I didn't even notice how these bonds worked. But they're going to get $150 million next month. They need it now, but, whatever. I guess, ultimately, the money's coming. But, $150 million. They're saying this storm likely cost about $8 billion in damage, which sort of begs the question, how far 150 mil is really going to go? But that's a, horrible experience out there. FBI Director Patel says multiple people were arrested in Michigan in a Halloween weekend attack plot. They didn't give us a whole lot of details, but long story short, some people were arrested. They were planning on doing some shenanigans over the weekend, bad shenanigans for that matter. They've been arrested. That ain't happening no more. Texas sees more arrests and convictions for threatening to kill judges and federal agents. You can't do that. A lot of people, this Lubbock resident Tristan Langston faces up to 15 years in prison during his sentencing hearing next week after a jury convicted him of threatening to kill U.S. Secret Service agents and their family members. Again, you can't do that. There's a lot of people that truly, and it's fortunate on the left, we've gotten really good at this because we got in so much trouble by the left, they were constantly coming after us, that we know what you can and can't do. The left doesn't really get it. They've been able to get away with whatever they wanted forever. And now all of a sudden they're starting to get in trouble on Blue Sky. They're starting to get in trouble when it comes to the law. They're starting to get in trouble when it comes to actually touching people's phones and stuff like that and then getting beaten up for it because you're not allowed to touch people. They're failing, to put it simply. No King's partner plans mass mobilization to surround the White House with a bunch of unhinged boomer activists. I mean, I don't know if this is a joke or if this is literally because it seems to be the ones that are the most angry are pretty much the old Grand Tifa that we're calling them now. There's Grand Tifa for you. So yeah, a bunch of silver hair, white hair, all that good stuff. Cool. I mean, they got the time. That's cool. You guys, I guess they were even talking about possibly trying to fly some of them out to DC, which, all right, if you want to waste your money on that, it's not going to accomplish anything. I don't know how many of them you're actually going to get, and they can only stay out for 2-3 hours at a time before they, start to need medication or something. But yeah, we're definitely tracing a lot of money. They're definitely watching this, so they're paying attention. I think there's a lot of things happening in the background as these things play out. I hope the FBI, and I'm pretty sure they are making the best of this and paying attention to where the money's flowing. But yeah, grand total, $294 million. Think about that for a second. But yeah, Arabella, Buffett, Ford, Rockefeller, Soros, Tides, all these guys are tied into this, no pun intended. Top Trump officials are moving onto military bases. We talked about this yesterday. I just kind of wanted to keep it on the front burner because we're having all these threats, all this violence, all these crazy things, but we're also, importantly, getting close to where things are going to get interesting. These people are being put into protective spaces now, their families as well, to make sure they're safe because they are high priority targets and being targeted for that matter. So they are being protected as we go into this next dangerous part. Prayers to keep everybody in the love and light. Lawmakers move to impeach Judge Boasberg for rubber stamping Jack Smith's partisan surveillance. They're going after him for that. They literally want to impeach him for that, which is cool. Boasberg's also been one of the ones that's done some of the district court shenanigans too, trying to shut down the Trump administration. Also was involved with, I believe, one of the trials against him as well. So yeah, the whole idea that they even let this move forward is absurd. So they're going to continue to push that. We're going to find out more as it moves forward. I think most of us kind of get this due to loud spying to happen on a whole bunch of people. The Arctic Frost, he signed off on it. He signed off on Special Counsel Jack Smith, issued nearly 200 subpoenas targeting Republican organizations, officials, and donors as part of a Justice Department investigation launched under the Biden administration. The disclosures have prompted congressional Republicans to call for the impeachment of the U.S. District Court James Boasberg, who authorized related surveillance orders. Grassley's going after these guys hardcore. And should. Remember there being something vaguely cool in here, but meh. They're going after him hard, though. This is just, again, they're heavily pissed off. John Solomon was on the War Room, and we have got about 4+ minutes of him saying some pretty amazing stuff. This one has to do with grand juries. Subpoenas are going out, apparently. There's some word on the street that people are about to get arrested, probably.
There is a real turning in for it. I think the big thing that's going to happen, Steve, I think the U.S. attorney in Miami is going to be made the key prosecutor, and this whole case is going to move down. And Jack Smith's final actions in Florida are going to move the case to Florida, and then we're going to go all the way back to maybe as early as 2014 in the IRS and look at this as one large grand conspiracy case to misuse the power of the FBI and the Justice Department to go after MAGA Nation. This is a MAGA dragnet. That's what you see here. And one FBI official I talked to today said what they did, they took a boat into the ocean and they were towing to find any license plate they could tag on Donald Trump's car. They were simply looking for anything. You don't do criminal investigations that way. You have to have a reason to look at Americans. That didn't happen here, according to the people who've reviewed this evidence.
Where is this investigation going to go, and what are the next, you believe, major reveals we're going to see?
I think some of the people who were part of Arctic Frost are going to get both congressional and grand jury subpoenas. People will be hauled before the court and forced to answer. And I want to remind people something that Jim Jordan said on our show last night. Jack Smith's 2 top deputies have taken the Fifth Amendment, prosecutors have taken the Fifth Amendment about what they did in this case. What does that mean? They think they may have engaged in criminality. You can't take the Fifth Amendment if you don't think you have criminal liability. That is a stunning thing. We don't normally see prosecutors and FBI agents saying, I'm taking the Fifth. You know something serious is here. And I think what's going on now is that people are starting to get grand jury subpoenas. I've been talking to defense lawyers. There was about 20 or 30 that have gone out in the last couple of weeks. The big conspiracy is now being put together. Now, whether a grand jury indicts, whether you get convictions, we'll see. But they're looking at a decade as one criminal machine, that the Comey, Garland, Jack Smith era was an ongoing criminal enterprise like a mob or mafia or drug kingpin. And the crimes were violating innocent American civil liberties to try to score a political score in politics. That is so extraordinary. I don't think I ever would have uttered those words, ever thought I would utter those words as a journalist. That's what went on here. All right, listen, Jack Smith is at the origins of the IRS case. There are emails between him and Lois Lerner that we focused on and some other people in the Justice Department. That same group carries all the way through the raid at Mar-a-Lago. The prosecution's up to 24. I think they're going to look at that as, hey, this was an effort to drain Republicans of money and reputation, maybe put some in prison to make sure that the populist movement that Donald Trump was building across America could be side-railed. They failed, and now because they failed, and we now have people like Kash Patel and Pam Bondi turning this evidence up, I think people could end up going to prison for this. I think we're moving towards that direction. And the evidence is really strong. I mean, I had career FBI agents, very non-political, look at this last night like, my God, I've never seen anything like this in my life. What are we doing? This isn't FBI work. This is political opposition work. When people who wore the badge for 40 years start saying that about their old agency, you know something bad is rotten in Denmark.
Yeah, something is definitely rotten. That is for sure. We got some more. John Solomon here. He's reporting that 2 weeks before the 2020 election, the FBI targeted Trump campaign finances and issued intelligence reports. A little more deep digging on a lot of this Arctic frost nonsense.
Just think about the story I broke this morning. 4 years after Crossfire Hurricane and the October surprise of trying to drop a fake Russia story into Americans' laps before they voted for Donald Trump, the FBI was at it again. After all that was learned, after all the hearings, after all the letters written by angry senators and chairmen, the FBI felt absolute impunity to do this again. 2 weeks before the election, there is an FBI team in the Washington field office where a lot of this stuff starts. By the way, this isn't Arctic frost. This is pre-Arctic frost. Post-Crossfire Hurricane, pre-Arctic frost. Someone sitting in the FBI thinking it's a good job, good idea, 2 weeks before Election Day to go through all of Donald Trump's campaign finances and see if I can find something I can hang a criminal investigation on. And their idea that they actually issue an official bulletin on, an intelligence bulletin, is, hey, I looked at this money, Donald Trump pays his vendors, the vendors pay their people, and one of the people who got paid goes out and gambles. That could be criminal. All right, how is getting a paycheck and using it for gambling criminal? But that's what they're doing. And then they have to admit that this is pretty lousy investigative work, so they put it at low confidence level that that this is probably a true crime. And then they recommend, let's go investigate anyways. Go take the steps to get this to be a criminal investigation against Donald Trump. Now, you're not doing that 2 weeks before an election because it just showed up on your deck. Someone is driving this for political purposes. That's what it looks like when you look at these documents.
Yeah, that's definitely what happened, right? We know that. So, Oversight Committee came out and, they're being pretty harsh on this whole Biden auto pen thing. I saw a little bit of Kamala Harris like shocked that people think like that she somehow noticed Trump Biden's decline. She's like, no, he seems fine to me. It's like she continues, even though she wrote in her book the opposite. She won't admit it. There was some British lady, I guess. I felt like that Austin Powers movie. That's a man, baby. But I mean, whatever. I don't know what her name is. She got boy hair. Whatever. We've got a serious problem here where it sounds like a majority of Biden's aides didn't know what was going on, didn't know what he was doing. Looks like the only one thing in this office was the auto pen, but none of these 14 aides knew who used it. Right? So, got a couple little videos here to check out.
The ability of Medicare for us to be able to negotiate drug prices with the big pharma companies.
It represented the moment we walked away from how this country was built when we got into the trickle-down series.
Dealing with everything we have to do with, if we finally beat Medicare.
Yeah, President Autopen forever will be famous for that. A little bit of, actually, I think we had a couple. I wanted to read a couple of these. Oversight said the full report on the investigation of the Biden Autopen presidency. It said Joe Biden was not running the show. Our new report exposes how Biden's decline was real and his aides covered it up. There you go. So yeah, it's coming out. I haven't watched the whole 9 minutes of that, and we've got enough stuff to do. But yeah, we'll get snippets of it. Matt Van Swole actually put this out, and he's like, holy crap. A left-wing group in North Carolina has just been exposed for offering to pay $100 per person to vote for Democrats. Quote, I can't afford my electric bill. How long till I get the money after I vote? End quote. And then the response was, each candidate will pay you $100 for your vote. What? That's illegal, I believe. So information's out there, man. We got investigations going. I'm quite sure of it. The Department of Justice sent a letter to Fulton County Board of Registration and Elections on Thursday demanding records related to what Georgia's Board of Elections has called unexplained anomalies in vote tabulation and storage related to the 2020 election in the county. Assistant Attorney General for Civil Rights Harmeet Dillon wrote on behalf of Attorney General Pam Bondi, "On behalf of the Attorney General of the United States, we request that you present for inspection in its entirety and most original form all records in your possession responsive to the recent subpoena issued to your office by the State Election Board." Georgia's trying to fight it. I think we've had issues with Minnesota, Michigan, California. A lot of places don't want to offer up the goods because, frankly, they know they're going to get caught. So it's not good. LA's at fault. We're finding out. LA firefighters were warning to their DEI person in charge of the firefighting that, hey, no, these roots are still burning. These roots are still smoldering under the ground. We need to put it out. And she said, nope. Am I allowed to call her a she or is it a he? I don't even know what she was going by. Whatever. She said, no, you guys are done. You're off the blaze. And then 7 days later, giant winds came up. Apparently, that's what started the fire, made it worse, whatever. I mean, obviously, all the arsonists didn't help either. It was a mess how this all played out. But my point is, essentially, that the city is liable. The city didn't fill up the water. The city was missing hydrants. The city had a poor excuse for a fire leader, or chief, whatever they call them. I actually think all the Palisades people should be suing the actual city of Los Angeles. And I think they've got a case. I mean, it would bankrupt the city for sure, but I don't know, let's speed that up too. What the hell? This is horrible. Horrible news for them. Once again, New York City hit by super heavy rains and, it's like Noah's been building an ark, it seems, lately.
This is where we come from. This is where we come from.
Are you serious? Wow.
I didn't know New York had waterfalls. That's adorable. Wow, anyway, I guess we don't need to watch the... But yeah, that's pretty crazy, huh? I liked the jet ski guy. That was pretty sweet. Yeah, this is... What bothers me the most is I realize and understand how disgusting this city is, just from all the dirt and trash. And I don't know, I heard they fixed the trash thing. You guys don't put all the trash on the side of the road anymore? I'd heard that. I don't know if that's true. Otherwise, I assume we'd be seeing bags of trash floating around. Oh, it's disgusting. I'm sorry, I don't love New York. I feel bad for anyone that lives there. It was an experience. It was cool, you know. It was a cool experience. I know a lot of people are like, damn, what, huh? New York's the greatest place in the world. For sure. For sure it is. It's awesome. Yay. Delta urges Democrats to end shutdown as flight delays and cancellations mount. Yeah, it's costing the airlines a grip of money. A grip of money. They're so bummed right now. Yeah, this air traffic controller stuff is causing pain all over the place. So all of the airlines are like, dude, seriously, sign the CR already. Democrats. So the blame is going where the blame should go. Rising electricity prices are going to make winter difficult, especially for electricity users when it comes to oddly, mine's gas as far as the heat part, and it's surprisingly efficient. Air conditioning, horribly strong on the electric, but the heater's barely any. Kind of a trip. But anyways, people that are using fully electric, it's going to be expensive. Now, they're also talking about how inflation's only 2 to 3%, but the cost of electricity is going up more than that. And I've said many, many times, not that these people care what I say, but they don't look at electricity. They don't look at oil. They don't look at gas when they look at inflation. Inflation does not take those numbers into account at all, which means rents went way up, gas went way up. Well, gas goes up and down, frankly. Electricity's just gone up. Yeah, they're destroying things. Any place that has been heavily Democrat run is a mess. is bankrupt. Is completely bankrupt. All of them were expecting a war to happen. Remember that, guys. They were spending everything like it was going out of style, and then Trump came along and kept the war from happening, and now they're like, shoot, we don't have any money. We've even been stealing from the pensions. Fudge. These dudes are bummed. I guarantee there's a lot of people that are like, Musk, can you seriously get me to, like, I don't know, Mars? About the only way I got a chance of not going to jail for the rest of my life. We had a massive development happen today in the Senate. Blew my mind, actually, frankly. U.S. Senate votes to unleash fossil fuel development at the National Petroleum Reserve in Alaska to the tune of millions of acres, undoing a Biden-era decision. And they did it through the Senate. So it passed 52 to 45. Probably Rand Paul didn't go for it. Whatever. But yeah, 13.3 million acres are going to be opened up. This is going to help us with our oil. Big time. It's going to make us very, very non-dependent on other people. It's going to actually allow us to potentially make money and certainly feed fuel to parts of our own Americas, you know? So this is big, big, big win. One thing that's just funny is people, like every day I listen to the stock market, and every day they've got reasons for why it's doing what it's doing, right? And everybody's just basically making up shit. They're just talking out their ass. I'm going to be totally honest. Nobody knows. Nobody has a clue. Stock market seems to be emotional, but then it doesn't follow emotional behaviors or patterns. Stock market seems like they're going based off of specific information, and then things happen that just break that. Stock markets is it's a bunch of nonsense. Voodoo and hoodoo is what it is, folks. It's voodoo and hoodoo. It's craziness is what it is. There's probably somebody with a Donald Trump doll just poking away at it, trying to hope they can change the numbers somehow. Dow Jones is down a tiny bit. S&P and NASDAQ are up a tiny bit. I mean, this is really, gold and silver are down a little bit, which is shocking. They were up a little bit earlier, but whatever. Everything's really super flat right now. Everyone's like, oh, everyone's really excited about, okay, I'm sorry, NASDAQ's down. Yeah, hang on. Yeah, they're all pretty flat. Everyone's super excited about Trump and China and blah, 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 blah. No, they're not. And they're actually freaking out silently about the shutdown because this has potential to have ramifications that are significantly more than what we're currently experiencing, right? So we'll see what happens. Price of oil went up a little bit. They're saying that's because of the Venezuela thing, which again we'll get to. There's a weird leak going on. Trump's denying it, but it's not like he'd admit it anyway. So I don't know. I don't know what's going on. We got a lot of strange stuff. What I do know, well, one thing I know that's going on is we are going to destroy the Fed. That's for sure. Fed's going down. The only way we're going to destroy it was with gold. One of the easiest ways, if you've got a 401k or an IRA, I got an awesome idea for you. I got an awesome plan for you. It protects you. And we've got a pretty sweet deal going on. In fact, it reminds me. Okay, we actually got a pretty sweet deal going on. So this is an exclusive offer for my listeners only. Let's make sure I've got my, yeah, there it is. So you want to, first off, go to drslikesgold.com, drslikesgold.com. If you got a 401k or an IRA, drslikesgold.com. This is exclusive offer for you guys. It's a limited time deal for the month of November only. Only. If you got a 401k or an IRA, we're going to sweeten up the deal a little bit this month. Open a qualified account with Goldco through, I got a special link, of course, drslikesgold.com. And you're going to get 1% bonus silver from me. A way to give back to my loyal listeners, to you guys. Act now. This is for sales that close from now until November 30th, which means if you start your process November 20th, you're probably not going to get done in time. This depends largely on you providing all the information and signing everything and being responsive to emails and phone calls. You can make this happen within a matter of a little over a week. They've got DocuSign and everything, or this can take a little longer. It can take up to 3 weeks. So I would just get the ball rolling. If you've got a 401k or an IRA, the fact that gold and silver's dipped down a little bit's awesome because it's gonna fire back up here any time. You're going to get an extra 1%. You're already getting up to 10% free silver. This is actually in addition to that free silver match. So for an example, if you've got a $100,000 IRA, you could end up with $10,000 in free silver from Goldco plus $1,000 in free silver from me to you as a gift. Silver's up to 60% this year. It's up a major butt ton. It's ridiculous how much is going on right now. If you got a 401k or an IRA, diversify, protect your wealth. You're also going to get some freebies in the process. You're going to do it tax-free, penalty-free. You're going to get probably a free collector Ronald Reagan coins, pretty sweet. And you're going to get a gift back to you from me. Go to drslikesgold.com. drslikesgold.com. Get out as much of that as you can. It protects the buying power. We'll talk more about it through the month. drslikesgold.com. drslikesgold.com. Huge exclusive deal. You're only getting it here. drslikesgold.com. Get out of that system before they get out of you. And we'll help you do that. And we'll help you do it in a kind of sweet way. They're really good too. Their customer service is fantastic. So please check them out. You protect your wealth. I've talked so much about it. If you're new to the channel, you're going to hear me talk about it more. If you're old to the channel, dude, you know more about gold and silver than anybody in the market. And you probably skip forward a lot. That's fine. But yes, protect yourself at all costs. This is just a fun little slam on the Democrats. White House posted this. Democrats disappear on the American people when they need them the most. Democrat shutdown. I feel like it should run longer. I don't know. It's cut too short. I don't like that, Mr. Scavino. Fix it, please, sir. I'm just kidding. Truth details here. Donald Trump posted this. Because of the fact that the Democrats have gone stone cold crazy, the choice is clear. Initiate the nuclear option. Get rid of the filibuster and make America great again. Now, we do have Mike Johnson, Speaker Johnson, talking about this. He doesn't get too deep into the woods on what exactly is going on in Trump's mind. I'm not fond of getting rid of the filibuster. Johnson sort of speaks to that as well, but I do trust Trump. So I think this is being done for a reason. And a lot of people get too caught up in his words sometimes. I think he does stuff sometimes to mess with people. Here's the thing. If we did get rid of the filibuster and can blame the shutdown on the Democrats efficiently, which I think we've got the polling numbers kind of pushing in that direction, and then we nuke the filibuster, first off, that's kind of a strike against us. But if we do it and then use it to end the shutdown and fund certain things and be cool in certain places and kind of, keep spending down, well, we might actually make it work for us. Now, I don't know if there's a way they can sort of get rid of the filibuster for certain. I don't know. Filibuster's been used by both sides to save both sides bacon. It happens many, many times for Republicans, many times. So this is something that nobody wants to really admit they want to get rid of, with the exception of a few people that are crazy. And so Trump's going on the crazy train right now for a reason, I guess. Again, I trust Trump. I think there's a reason for it. I don't think we should get rid of the filibuster. But again, if he keeps saying that, I'll back him. I will back him. As much as I, currently think there's more of a, 5D chess move happening here. Government shutdown chaos. Air traffic controller shortages are snarling airports as paychecks go blank. Airline CEOs are freaking out right now. They've literally got average wait times of 2.7 hours for flights, especially going into certain airports. It's probably why JFK, Boston, I can't read this really small. Looks like too small. EWR, LaGuardia, I don't know where EWR is. Boston, probably. JFK is New York. I'm just looking for, I'm surprised LAS isn't here. Oh, LAX, I mean. Wow, way down there. Surprising. And SCA. I have the flight simulator, like I've said. I love it. I love playing it. And you got to use the airport codes. It's got the K in front of it, which is like our radio, right? A lot of them are K, and then you get on the other side of the Mississippi and it's W, but K is like kind of ours, and then you got P, I think, for the Pacific, the prefix. Anyway, nobody cares about that stuff, but it's fun as hell. Sure is fun as hell. So shutdowns are sucking, I don't know if I said that already. New York declares emergency looming, pause in food stamps. Good for them. So Kathy Hochul declared a state of emergency. I think there's a few states that have done this. I was trying to find that article, and I got lost looking for it, basically. Someone put it behind a paywall type thing, and I don't know why it's not common knowledge. So I just feel like whenever they take something that should be easier to find, then it's maybe not really good news to begin with. So whatever. New York and I believe Virginia are the two I'm aware of for sure that have actually done this, and good on them. This is the way to handle it, and this is the way to make yourself not look like a douche. I'm wondering if California has. I doubt it, but I'm wondering. We have the highest number of people using it, so it would be extraordinarily expensive for California. And if they get stuck having to pay for it for any length of time, it would be extra extraordinarily expensive. Radio Free Asia announces it's halting operations amid government shutdown because of funding cuts. Good. Who cares? No, all the people in Asia, we got to make sure we give them news about the United States that's positive. Dude, that's stupid, all right? This is such a different world now than then, right? Back when radio was the only way you could actually broadcast. Dude, we got this thing called the internet. I don't know if you've heard of it. It's cool. It's a fad. I mean, it's not going to stay. I mean, the trend. Donald Trump truth this as well. As I have said for years, Obamacare is a disaster. Rates are going through the roof for really bad health care. Do something, Democrats. They're putting the pressure where the pressure needs to be. Here's, like I said, I'm going to play this at 1.5 speed. It actually plays pretty decently, but if you're already playing me quickly, you might be a little bummed, so maybe you'll have to slow down. But yeah, otherwise, there's no way I'm getting a 37-minute thing in there. Yeah, I think it's worth it. I actually think it's worth it, guys. NTD, cheers to you guys. I think you guys do brilliant work, and you've got two very beautiful people that work there, Alice and Tiffany, ladies. Anyway. Here nor there. I swear to God, if I ever meet them both at the same time, I'll probably turn pale white. It'll be awesome. Anybody that's there with me, you're going to love that moment because it will probably be one of the scariest moments in my life. It'll be like, oh shit, I'm in trouble. I'm in so much freaking trouble. This will be great. Can't wait. Breathe in, baby. All right. So yeah, Speaker Johnson, he's telling us everything we need to know. And this is, well, we're in unprecedented times. If I think they can keep the shutdown going longer, this allows us the possibility to start closing things in the government or only funding specific things that are necessary. I'm very curious to see where this goes because we are at a place where radical measures are necessary, and we're going through radical times for sure, unquestionably. How long do these radical times go? We're not quite at the longest yet. I believe we hit that in 2 days. Or I don't know, 33 days I think is the longest, and it was Trump last time. But this is crazy. And I think they do a good job answering and talking about, and we got, again, it's an optics game, it's political theater, but it's real life for a lot of people right now too. This is a lot of things happening simultaneously, and it needs to be done with kid gloves. I don't know, whatever that means. I think kit gloves, but man, Night Industry 2000. Anyway, here we go.
Well, good morning, everyone. This is day 31 of the Democrat shutdown. As you can see, I have a special guest that I'm delighted to introduce to you in just a moment here. We have spoken daily, every day at this podium about the real pain that Americans are experiencing because of the Democrat shutdown. We talk about the pain for our troops, for our federal workers, for American families. And this morning, we want to speak specifically about the millions of American families that are going to feel real hardship because of the SNAP benefits drying up. And we have no one less than the Secretary of the Department of Agriculture, who's in charge of that program, that will speak directly to that issue. But I want to begin first with just a word of sincere gratitude. Across this country, we've got millions of federal workers who have been showing up at the office every day without pay. This has drug on for a month now. Those federal workers have shown up for a month straight, not knowing when or if their next paycheck will be delivered. They're doing their jobs, and they're doing it valiantly, while the Senate Democrats simply refuse to do their job. Their most simple and basic responsibility is to keep the government in operation so that we can keep the services flowing to the American people and keep the country moving. But they're not doing that. So we just want to say to these federal workers, like the hundreds of civilian employees who are also spread throughout the country, like the ones in my district, for example, at the Bain Jones Army Community Hospital down at Fort Polk, our big Army base there. We just want to say thank you for your diligence, for doing your job, for your service to the country, even though Democrats are withholding your paycheck. They are shameless in doing so. Throughout this shutdown, President Trump and his administration have done everything in their power, as we relay to you here every day, example after example. They've done everything they can to mitigate and reduce the harm to the American people. He's gone out of his way to find creative solutions to ensure our service members don't miss a paycheck, for example, to ensure that the WIC program, that the nutrition assistance to women, infants, and children is still flowing. President Trump has proven beyond a shadow of a doubt that if there is any way to fund these programs that are drying up now, that he will do it. If there was any way to fund SNAP during the Democrat shutdown, you can be assured that your commander-in-chief would do it. But we are now reaching a breaking point. Thanks to Democrats voting no on government funding now 14 different times, SNAP benefits for millions of American families are drying up. It's about 1 in 8 people in this country who rely upon this to literally put food on their table. And the blame for this lies 100% with the senators sitting over there on the Democrat Party. They are the ones who have locked arms and decided over and over and over and over, 14 times now, to vote against these services being provided. And I want you to think about that. You're going to have real people, real families. You're going to have children who will go hungry beginning this weekend when those resources dry up. They rely upon that, and yet the Democrats continue with their political games in Washington while people are sitting around the dinner table without the resources that they need. The administration has done all it can to keep this program afloat, but the limits have been reached here. And what are the Democrats doing today? Where are the Democrats? Are they in the Senate today? No, they're out campaigning. While critical SNAP benefits run dry, the Democrats have skipped town. They've abandoned their post in the Senate, and the reason that's so important and noteworthy for the American people is the Senate is the only place where this can end. The last hope of reopening the government before millions of Americans go hungry. They've abandoned their post. Democrats are now this is the incredible part, they're now trying to somehow blame Republicans for cutting off SNAP, when Republicans, remember, are the ones who have voted 14 times for the SNAP benefits to flow. It's the Democrats who have voted every single time to turn that off. The same Democrats who've been perfectly fine with defunding SNAP and WIC for over a month now are suddenly claiming to be outraged that Republicans and President Trump can't just wave some magic wand and fix the mess that they themselves have created. If they're suddenly waking up to the pain their reckless decision is causing, then there's one simple way to fix it. They can come back in here and vote to reopen the government. But we don't think they're going to do that. Now, this is what's interesting. The most recent development is that you've got many more people now calling on the Senate Democrats to do the right job. There's a handful of moderates still in the Democrat Party, and they are very upset about that. The tension is rising. You had Senator John Fetterman of Pennsylvania, for example, who just yesterday, I think it was, accused his own party of, quote, playing chicken with the food security of 42 million Americans. He's right. And you've seen now the avalanche of people and organizations and institutions calling on the Democrats to reopen the government and vote for the clean CR. You've got labor unions. You've got the largest airlines in America. You've got independent voters. Working class Americans across the country, they are all pleading with the Democrats to do their job and stop using their hardships, the people's hardships, for the Democrats' political games in Washington. Yesterday, there was a lot written about an editorial that was in the Washington Post. I commend it to your reading if you haven't seen that, but it reads in part just one line out of that. I would like to stand up here and read the whole thing. The Washington Post, as you know, is not generally on my side. They said, quote, Democrats openly acknowledge that they refuse to do this, reopen the government, because it would mean giving up their leverage. If they persist, it will mean families start to go hungry. Now, look, this isn't some novel idea. As you know, the Democrats have always traditionally said, breathlessly, given speeches, passionately saying that you've got to keep the government funded. You should never shut it down. It would be so dangerous. And we've recounted this over and over. I mean, I literally could be here all day reading the Democrats' own past statements on the perils of shutting down the government, but I'm just going to highlight a couple this morning because they're relevant and timely. I'll begin with Senator Coons. He's the senior Democrat senator from Delaware. In 2013, he said this, quote, our democracy cannot function if the majority party threatens to shut down the government unless it gets its way, unquote. And that was Senator Coons in 2013. And what does he say now? Earlier this week, he said, quote, frankly, this is our only moment of leverage. Quite a switch. Bernie Sanders has got a lot of airtime here lately, and back in 2018, Senator Bernie Sanders said this, quote, the truth is that shutting down the government is a serious and dangerous action that we must do everything possible to prevent. That was in 2018. You know what he said this month? Quote, if we reopen the government, we lose our leverage. Senator Sheldon Whitehouse in 2013, the shutdown was, quote, entirely unnecessary and has harmed our economy and our reputation in the world. But if we also can't forget, we must never again allow extremist hostage-taking to create this kind of disruption. That was 2013. Just days ago, the senator from Rhode Island said the opposite. It's the only lever we have, meaning the shutdown. What he means is that the pain of the American people is their political lever. I guess he's forgotten his cries of alarm over the extremist hostage-taking. And how about the House? Infamously now, we all know, the Democrat whip, Catherine Clark, the second highest ranking Democrat in the House, said, quote, just last year, she said, they are taking a non-issue, a false flag, and saying this is the reason we can't proceed. It is a dangerous precedent to be threatening a shutdown. That's what she said in 2024. And what'd she say about a week ago? The opposite, quote, of course, there will be families that are going to suffer here, but it's one of the few leverage times we have. Many House members have echoed the same hypocrisy, and I'm not going to waste our time with it this morning, but I do want to leave you with this quote from Chuck Schumer, because he is the actual architect of the shutdown. He is the one that is preventing the Senate Democrats from doing the right thing. In March of this year, as you know, he voted on the same CR to avert a shutdown. And he said then, quote, in his speech on the Senate floor and in a bunch of interviews, this is what he said on the Senate floor, quote, the CR was certainly bad, but a shutdown would be 15 or 20 times worse. It was a vote of principle. And today, Chuck Schumer, entirely void of principle, by his own estimation, said, quote, every day gets better for his party. Tell that to the millions of American families facing a hunger crisis now as a direct result of his failed leadership and shenanigans. Those Democrats have all collectively voted 14 times over the last several weeks to reject the clean continuing resolution to fund the government, and they've made it abundantly clear they're going to continue to do that, to hold the American people hostage, so long as it serves their political interest to look tough to the leftist radicals in their base. Republicans have done our part to end the government, the Democrat shutdown, and now it's time for Democrats to do theirs. The path forward is simple. Please, please, every American who is concerned about this, every American that is feeling the harm, you should call the Senate Democrats and tell them to stop the nonsense. Echo the voices of the unions, of the airlines, of hardworking people everywhere, and tell them to stop doing this and open the government. We have to do that. 42 million Americans are sent to miss meals starting tomorrow, and this should be the easiest vote they've ever taken in their lives. I don't want to belabor this point any longer because I'm delighted to introduce you to our guest for the daily press conference here. Everybody knows Brooke Rollins, the incomparable, as I call her, the incomparable Brooke Rollins. She leads the U.S. Department of Agriculture, and of course, her department operates and oversees SNAP benefits to all these tens of millions of Americans. We're fortunate to have her here today. She's going to talk about the devastating effects of the Democrats' decisions on all this, and I'm delighted to give her the podium now. Brooke, so thanks so much for being here, Madam Secretary.
Thank you, Mike, Mr. Speaker. Really great to be here with everyone. I was reminded I was in the Speaker's backyard in Louisiana over the weekend and on Friday, and we went to a restaurant there, and our waiter by the name of Joe was wonderful. He was a multi-generational Louisiana, New Orleans, and he was our server, and he was just so impressive. And towards the end, he brought up that, well, this is a job he had to take because he was furloughed and so was not making any money, and he worked for the federal government. He didn't know who I was. And I said, well, Joe, I can appreciate that. You know, I'm sort of in that world as well. And I said, where do you work? And he said, well, I work for the U.S. Department of Agriculture in their New Orleans office as part of the financial team. And so it just really brought home for me, to echo what Mike said, just thanking so many thousands of federal workers who are showing up, who are still doing their job, who aren't getting paid, those that are now concerned about putting food on the table and making their mortgages and paying their rent, but to be out in the country. I was in Indiana yesterday and understand the real sort of pain that's being felt. But just to echo a couple of the themes that Speaker Johnson talked about, again, the idea that the Democrats have now for 14 different votes voted to keep the government closed is absolutely unconscionable. Every day they hold the federal government hostage. They are leaving millions of families' livelihoods and critical benefits, including SNAP, hanging in the balance. Of course, we all know the 13,000 air traffic controllers working without pay, many turning to Uber, taking second jobs in restaurants, et cetera, as the shutdown continues. Hundreds of thousands of federal employees are not receiving a paycheck. Thousands of small business loans are going unapproved each month because of the shutdown, equating to almost $4 billion in capital being taken out of the pockets of small business owners across this country, truly the backbone of our economy. It is a fact that Democrats shut down the government over free health care for illegal aliens and their $1.5 trillion partisan wish list. Democrats need to stop playing politics with the livelihoods of hardworking Americans and open the government now by voting for the clean resolution. We are here today because SNAP benefits run dry tomorrow. So the truth has finally revealed itself, hasn't it? Democrat support for programs like SNAP is now reduced to cynical control over people's lives. This last month has shown that the party who constantly says it puts people over politics does the complete opposite. Millions of Americans, as of tomorrow, will no longer receive SNAP and potentially WIC or even a paycheck. Democrats have instigated a disgusting dereliction of duty unlike anything I have seen in all my years doing this work, all to favor illegal aliens and other radical far-left policies that benefit only a small, tiny sliver of their base. I am embarrassed for Chuck Schumer. He is going out of his way to please the likes of Zohran Mamdani, a man who is polarizing America with his socialist rhetoric and anti-American principles. The essence of government responsibility is to the citizens who live and work here to protect their interests first, unless you are a Democrat in the United States Senate. Chuck Schumer and the Democrats are doing all this because they fear the socialists and the radicals to their left. Ironically, in leaving American families hungry and American children without food, they are giving a preview of what those socialists will do to every one of us if they ever take power. What you're really seeing here is the end of the Democrats as a responsible party of government, a party that ends governance, a party that ignores Americans, a party that cannot master the most basic principles and processes of government, is a party that cannot be trusted with the reins of power. It isn't oriented toward anything but the end of the system in which it exists. SNAP is arguably just the beginning. The logical and inevitable end to where this all goes is the Democrats and the whole superstructure of constitutional government. President Trump has made it clear: reopen the government, get government funding back on solid footing, restore the confidence of American families who count on programs like SNAP, and stop treating them and their well-being as pawns in a political game, according to the Democrats. Prioritize American citizens, prioritize American families, and prioritize American children. I would like to make a quick note and then want to obviously leave lots of time for questions. Yesterday, I was in Indiana, and I was visiting a soybean farm, sixth-generation soybean farm, the Everetts. And they have about 1,500 acres right outside of Indianapolis. We were harvesting corn, but they also do soybeans. And as I was there, it occurred to me that what President Trump has been doing over the last week or weeks in fighting across the world to open up markets for American farmers, for American families, while the Democrats are back here playing political games. It must stop. We must get the government open. And our citizens and these voters and our taxpayers and our families and our children expect no less. Thank you all.
All right, take a few questions. Chad, go ahead. Stand up at the back. Go ahead.
Hello, Chair.
This question for the Secretary. The minority leader in the House said yesterday, Hakeem Jeffries, that the term he used was lying, that some of these SNAP benefits couldn't be liberated. Can you explain, review that, give us your perspective, what their perspective is, and what your argument is? Why again?
Yeah, and I appreciate the opportunity to explain that. So the fact that the Democrats are saying, but wait, USDA has money in their accounts, why it is really their fault, I've seen it over and over and over from some of their leaders, is absolute false, and it is a lie. We have been saying on October 10th, we sent messages out. On October 24th, we sent messages out. These benefits end on November 1st. Now, let me get down into a little bit of the details on that to better explain. So there is a contingency fund at USDA, but that contingency fund, by the way, doesn't even cover, I think, half of the $9.2 billion that would be required for November SNAP, but it is only allowed to flow if the underlying program is funded. It's called a contingency fund. And by law, contingency fund can only flow when the underlying fund is flowing. So for example, if today the Democrats say, oh, never mind, sorry, we'll open the government, and SNAP flows, Hurricane Melissa or one of the hurricanes hits, that's the contingency fund that we would use to send more money into the vulnerable communities that are harmed by a specific event like a hurricane. But it is a contingency fund that can only flow if the underlying appropriation is approved. And listen, even if it could flow, it doesn't even cover half of the month of November. So here we are again in 2 weeks having the exact same conversation.
I'll just add to that. The Democrats are lying about that, and I think they know that. Some of the ones who are out saying it are actually attorneys. They can read the black letter law themselves. They've even filed a lawsuit, you saw, to try to do it. Why? Because they wanted a talking point. They know that's a frivolous piece of litigation. They know they're going to lose, but they also know it'll take many weeks or months to have that ultimately determined by a court because of the way the justice system works. So they're using it as a talking point to try to claim. I believe they know for a fact that what they filed in the court is false. You know, they're lawmakers. They're supposed to know how the law works. And so the whole thing is just shameful. And they're using the people as pawns in this game. That underlying fund that the Secretary just addressed was unfunded by the Democrats themselves when they voted against the CR. The CR would have kept all this funded, and they chose not to do it. Not once, not twice. 13 times in the Senate, once in the House, 14 overall. Yes, sir.
I'm sure you saw President Trump's tweet last night suggesting that it's time for Senate Republicans to blow up the filibuster in order to get the continuing resolution passed. I know in the past you've been reluctant to encourage your Senate colleagues to do that or not. Are you aligned with the President now that it's time for him to take this dramatic step?
I haven't. The president's been very busy. He was in Asia doing all these trade agreements. I've been a little busy, as you know. We haven't spoken since he returned. I sent him a text earlier this morning. I saw that as well. What you're seeing is an expression of the president's anger at the situation. He is as angry as I am and the American people are about this madness. And he just desperately wants the government to be reopened so that all these resources can flow to the people who need it so much. Look, I'll just say this in general. As I've said many times about the filibuster, it's not my call. I don't have a say in this. It's a Senate chamber issue. We don't have that in the House, as you know. But the filibuster has traditionally been viewed as a very important safeguard. If the shoe was on the other foot, I don't think our team would like it. The Democrats, look, they've said what they would do. They would pack the Supreme Court. They would make Puerto Rico and D.C. states. They would ban firearms. They would do all sorts of things that would be very harmful for the country. And the safeguard in the Senate has always been the filibuster. But again, not my issue, not something I get to even weigh in on. My opinion on this is not relevant. It's the senators. But I think that it just is another expression of the frustration, of the pressure that is being felt, the anger by the president and by me and all of us, that we're in this situation at all. Do your basic job. I'm going to say this again. We have put zero Republican policy priorities on the CR. It is Biden-level policies and spending. They have no excuse at all not to support it. They have no excuse to put all this pain on the American people, except that for what we've just articulated and repeated here every day. They want to give a showing to the radical left fringes of their base, and they want to give illegal benefits or benefits back to illegal aliens and non-citizens and all the other crazy stuff that they've claimed. Yeah.
Can I respond?
Sure.
I just very quickly, I have not spoken to the president either since last night, but let me say this. I've been next to him for almost 9 or 10 years now. He is so resolutely focused on delivering for the American people all day, every day, 7 days a week, 20 hours a day. This is what he is thinking about. And as the world's greatest deal maker, from his perspective, the way he thinks out of the box as a businessman is how do we end this nonsense and how do we again open the government and how do we support these families that need support?
Yeah, go ahead. I'd already called on. Go ahead.
Yeah. Madam Secretary, question to you. So I know you addressed the contingency fund, but SNAP has never run out of funding in its 60-year history during shutdown. Why were past administrations able to find funding to keep it afloat in a shutdown and you can't?
Well, let me see. I've got a chart I want to show you all on the SNAP funding. My charts are slightly wanky because our print shop is closed because we're furloughed. So it was a little arts and crafts time over at USDA early this morning. So this is the chart of the SNAP program. Now, I know everyone can't see this, but this goes back to October of 2023. And I want everyone to follow. This is the red line that under Joe Biden, you see an almost 30% increase in the cost of the SNAP program over the 4 years that President Biden and the USDA was overseeing it with Congress funding it. And you see now the downward trend since President Trump was reelected November, and we've had about 650,000 people move off of SNAP since President Trump was elected. A press conference for another time. That's obviously the goal of all these programs, is to move families into real work and the dignity of that. I say that because the astronomical costs of the SNAP program under Joe Biden was historical. It was unprecedented, and we don't have the same levels of funding that were there in the past. And by the way, for 1 month, we have band-aided and bubble-gummed and duct taped this deal to get this 1 month of funding in for SNAP, the $9 billion. Thank you.
Quick follow-up. I mean, because reality is setting in for a lot of people this weekend. So what do you say to the millions of people who stand to lose their food stamp benefits? What should they do?
My message to America is, first, the fact that your government is failing you right now. That poverty is not red or blue. It is not a Republican or Democrat issue. It doesn't matter who you voted for or even if you voted. That if you are in a position where you can't feed your family and you're relying on that $187 a month for an average family in the SNAP program, that we have failed you. But I think what's so important, and this is why we keep hammering this, the Republicans have voted over and over and over again to open this government so that these funds don't stop. And for 14 different times, the Democrats have said, no, we are going to hold hostage the most vulnerable families in this country so that we can get our left-wing radical agenda into the government and the governing structure. And to that, President Trump, Speaker Johnson, Majority Leader Thune have said absolutely not. And we're very grateful for that. Please vote yes. We implore the Democrats in the Senate to vote yes to get this government open and these people the benefits that they need to feed their families.
And it's clarifying. When she says we have failed you, she means we, the Democrats, okay? Because as we've just explained, Republicans have voted 14 times to get this done. The president has pleaded with Schumer and Hakeem to open the government, and they told him no. We're doing everything we can. The Republicans, they say, well, the Republicans are in charge of the federal government. Why can't they get this done? It's simple math. We need 60 votes in the Senate. We only have 53 Republicans. We have to have Democrats. It is the Democrats alone who are failing the American people. And this administration, every cabinet secretary, it's not just Secretary Rollins, every cabinet secretary is bending over backwards to make sure that the American people are served and they get what they need. But we are not magicians. We cannot wave a magic wand. The funds have run out because the Democrats are playing games. And that's why we've been here every day this month pleading with them to do the right thing. And they do not care. They have shown how callous they are. They do not care that people are suffering. And that's who's failed them. It's not the government overall. It's the Democrats who are holding up the government for working for the people. It's a very important thing to do. Jake, go ahead.
You undoubtedly see some of the modest progress in the Senate as people are talking about spending, 26 spending. Number one, I want to get your sense for where things are, your reaction. Then, would you bring the House back if they got some sort of agreement on a number of spending bills?
Yeah, look, the whole point of this is a very important reminder. The reason we're in this mess is because they voted against the clean CR. What was the point of the CR? The CR was merely to buy us 7 additional weeks to finish the funding of the government, the appropriations process. We were working on that in bipartisan fashion and bicameral fashion. As you know, we had a conference committee set to go on 3 appropriations bills that had passed out of the House. They didn't match the Senate exactly. They were going to work through that. That's the process. And our appropriators, the members of Congress who work on all this funding every day, are raring to go. In both parties, in both chambers, they want to get back to that work. And that is the whole point. Chuck Schumer and the leadership are holding that process up. So am I optimistic that we can get back to that? Yes, but we can't do any of it until they take the simple step to vote on that additional time. It's just a stopgap funding measure to make all these services and funding flow to the people so that we can finish that work. They're holding it up. So I'm heartened, Jake, that we have members on both sides. I had a meeting with the chairman of our appropriations committee in my office yesterday afternoon. Tom Cole came in. We were talking about the latest and what those appropriators are doing, the things they're working on. I meet with Leader Thune about it almost daily on the subject. We are ready. The next packages of funding bills are being prepared. And yes, we want to pass that off the House as soon as possible. We want to get all 12 appropriations bills done because we're returning to regular order. That's been a commitment of mine since I became the Speaker 2 years ago, and it's something that Congress must do to be better stewards of taxpayer dollars. So we don't have, I'm using your handy chart here, so we don't have this spike in spending. We have more responsible spending. The only way to get this, to make the government work better and more efficiently for the people, is to go through that stewardship process, that important obligation that the founders intended and that we have used to respect, but we haven't in a long time. So all of this is entwined in that. We've got to get Congress working again. We're anxious to do it, and the sooner we can get back here and get the lights on, the better. But the number one mission of Congress right now is to turn the government back on. There's too many people's lives and health and hunger at stake. This is not a game. They've got to stop playing games. Remember this, too. The first time in U.S. history that any party has had the audacity to do what the Democrats in the Senate are doing right now. No one ever before has shut the government down over a clean, nonpartisan CR because it would have been unthinkable until now. And you need to remind them of that. Yes, ma'am. Last one.
The one beautiful bill contains numerous Medicaid anti-fraud measures. Senator Tuberville recently highlighted a slew of aliens are receiving these SNAP benefits. Are there any plans to do the same with SNAP and completely reform it just to ensure that it's available for U.S. citizens?
Yes, in fact, we've already done that. Now, so a couple of quick things on I guess the silver lining in all of this is that we're having a national conversation on our SNAP program, that this has sort of shined a light on a program that, especially under the last administration, has just become so bloated, so broken, so dysfunctional, so corrupt that it is astonishing when you dig in. So 3 important things on that. First, I talked about the extraordinary explosion of benefits under the last administration. And what happened was that the money that was going out was zero accountability. So one of the very first things we did when I was sworn in was send a letter to all the states and to remind everyone the SNAP program is administered through the states and the governor's office. So send a letter to all the states saying no more illegal aliens on SNAP, period, full stop. So that's already a rule of this administration. We're working to enforce it every single day. The second thing is we began a very serious investigation into a lot of the fraud and abuse that we kept getting anecdotal stories of that no one was doing anything about. And so just in the last, I think, 6 months, we've had major dozens of arrests, people going to jail, fraudulent activity of 50 million here. One guy's registered for SNAP in 6 different states. I mean, it's one thing after another. So we are taking that extremely, extremely seriously, and we'll continue to do so. And then the third thing on this is that for the first time ever, we, the USDA, have asked the states for their data so that we can ensure that taxpayer dollars are being spent appropriately. Not surprisingly, all of the red states said, yes, please help us with this. We want to do the right thing. We want to make sure there's not all this corruption and fraud. By the way, 2 blue state-led governors also leaned in, Colorado and North Carolina, alongside every one of the red governors. But the other blue states, California, Oregon, New York, Washington, all of them actually sued us and said, oh no, we're not going to give you any data. So the problem is you have an extremely corrupt program, but up until this administration and with President Trump's direct focus on this and making sure every taxpayer dollar is spent appropriately, we've never really had the opportunity to dig in. So we're going to be talking a lot more about SNAP reform. We've got a lot of people listening now, which is very, very helpful, and to take that program back to its original intent of helping those who are truly needy in our communities, but not to have a massive welfare benefit where so many people are taking advantage of it that shouldn't be.
And I just want to add briefly, just zoom out a little bit. This is a stark contrast between the two parties, the two major parties in this country. We talk about the split screen in here very often. On this issue, with regard to reducing fraud, waste, and abuse in government, look, America is the greatest nation in the history of the world. We're the most powerful, most successful, most free, most benevolent nation that's ever been. Part of our benevolence, part of the spirit of America is that we do have these safety net programs. We support that. We have an extraordinary cabinet, like Brooke Rollins here, Secretary Rollins, who is handling and administrating the SNAP program, is a good example of that. Medicaid is a good example. Why were they designed and why are they so important and why do we all support those ideas? Because sometimes people really can't take care of themselves. You know, you have the elderly, the disabled, young pregnant women, for example, who are single and they're down on their luck and they need some help. SNAP and Medicaid and these other programs were intended to be a temporary safety net to help people to get back on their feet. But they have been abused. And there are some big government advocates, like the Marxists, like the socialists, who want the government to take over everything and supply everything for everybody. But guess what? If the government can give you everything, it can take it away as well, and your freedom is sacrificed. Socialism, don't get me started, has been a great scourge on humanity. I mean, the tens of millions of innocent people in the 20th century alone have died because of it. America stands for something better than that, something different. But the programs don't work if they're loaded down with fraud and abuse. And every single person in this room and every American of common sense should understand the necessity of having people in office, a president in the White House, a cabinet full of secretaries who are dedicated to this, in every division of the federal government, and Republicans in Congress leading on this, to root out that fraud, waste, and abuse so the programs can survive. We did that in the One Big Beautiful Bill, in the Working Families Tax Cut. With Medicaid, we went into that and we eliminated the fraud, waste, and abuse. We got able-bodied young men without dependents off the program. They were never intended to be there. They're sitting around on their couches playing video games. Yes, that's an actual study, and they're siphoning the resources away from elderly people, disabled people, and young women who desperately need it. And so the funds were being depleted. We shouldn't go for that. And illegal aliens were never intended to be on any of these programs. They're for U.S. citizens only, law-abiding citizens. This is the team. The Republicans will fix that and save those programs for the country. And the Democrats will continue to abuse it. They sued the USDA for simply asking them to tell them how many illegal aliens are on the programs in California, New York, and these other states. They sued them. You need to take account of what people are doing here in each party. The leaders and the President of the United States, we are trying to get government to work more efficiently and effectively for the people, and we are getting stopped and hindered by political games, by Democrats. And that's why we're so frustrated. It's got to come to an end. Thank you all for being here this morning.
Thank you, everyone.
Oh, right? I mean, I'm sorry if I oversold it, but so this is the biggest deal that's ever come. This is how we're going to force fix SNAP. Again, we were importing millions of people. These millions of people were instantly going on to SNAP, instantly. States get part of that money. So the states that were taken in, the sanctuary states, they were taking in more and more people. They were getting more and more SNAP funds. These states have been blowing this money on hookers and booze, basically. And the money's dried up. And they don't know what to do. And what's so beautiful about what Trump is doing is he's hitting all of the sanctuary states. And I live in one, okay? Our state's about to go through hell. And I'm here, and it's going to be a bumpy ride, and I know it, all right? I'm as prepared as I can be. I kind of know what's coming, right? So we're good. Don't feel bad for us. Like I've told people before, go out on the border, all you border staters, get big, giant pry bars, just push it right into the ground, right at the border, and just heave us off into the ocean. Guys, do y'all a favor, though we are the 4th largest economy in the world by, it's something to keep in mind. All said. It's annoying, I know. Stupid annoying. So we're going to get hit hard from a lot of different angles. And our states and many states like us, New York, Chicago, Illinois, right? These states are going to just crumble from multiple knife wounds, multiple losses of funding. Everybody's been taking money, cities, everywhere. Everywhere. This is amazing. Now, again, who's controlling this shutdown? I don't know. Again, the movie, like everyone says, sometimes maybe, I don't know. There's times where I'm like, I can't believe the Dems are still doing this. Like, again, I'm throwing another piece of popcorn in the mouth. What are you going to do? What are you going to do? I don't know. I actually know people that are literally this crazy. So it's not like they're actors. At least the people I know. They literally believe this crazy shit. I think it's brainwashing. And yeah, I see that's kind of common. Fortunately now they usually have blue and pink hair or something along those lines, green. They're trying to get creative, or they didn't realize those colors don't go well together. Things happen. But yeah, this is the biggest deal, I think, ever. And there is rumor, and I'll say, I heard this from S. Jones 39. Check out her show. And of course, Nana's Little Corner. They do a show together. You should check out both of them for that matter. But she was talking about how there's a 60-day thing, and I don't know where she was getting the information. I haven't seen it pop up anywhere. I haven't gone digging for it per se either, so I don't know. But there's the potentiality. I was always suspicious or suggesting that there would be a time frame where contracts would start to run out. 60 days is possible. I know the government's really bad about payment, so it's probably more like net net 90 if we're lucky, but still I would say net 180 probably in a lot of cases. Whatever the case is, we'll see how it plays out. I think there's a lot of things that they legally can start to do, and maybe it's in Constitution or 60 days though. Not funded. Something that's not funded for a specific period of time, well, it's not necessary, is it? This is the hard part that we've been talking about. DRSlikesgold.com, by the way. This is the hard part. It's starting. It's going to affect. We'll see. Again, I believe this is what we're going through, but it could change anytime. Dems could get smart and end the shutdown and kind of mess with it, right? So it's like, I don't know. I don't know if there's any guarantees that it goes 2 months. We got a whole additional month that we'd have to go to get that far. Can you imagine listening to this nonsense for another month? Trump slashes refugee cap. So the number of refugees that we'll take as a country is 7,500 a year. Joe Biden had that set at 125,000. They'd stick them all in one community, right? They'd take a big grip of them. Trump's like 7,500. Most of it's the Afrikaners, the white ones. So he's going to be importing white people that talk funny. You'll just think they're British, most of us. DHS reports 8,000% surge in death threats against ICE agents, hence why their families are living on military bases. You cannot dox them any longer. Now, does that suck a little? For sure. Is it better than not being safe? Yeah. So it's very sad, and I'm sure there's agents positioned at these people's houses to make sure they stay safe. They're armed, waiting for somebody to show up. These two Supreme Court cases, they might affect the future. We've talked about these. Hopefully they come out soon. One was the race-based redistricting case. That one didn't seem to go well for, went well for, I think this one's going to go to the favor that we want, but yeah, it's all about Louisiana ordered a state to redraw its congressional map and add a second majority black district. Like, that's not really appropriate. And, that's specifically racist. They're saying, well, there's got to be a percentage of the people, but it's like, really, populations are supposed to be divided by counties and stuff like that, really. Just because you happen to be a different color doesn't necessarily mean you get your own separate voice, per se. It's not supposed to be. Anyway, there's a lot that goes into all that, right? What is it, 14th and 15th Amendments. Again, crazy going on. And then counting late ballots. This is a good one. This talks about who can sue, basically, I believe. This guy's talking about, look, if it takes 2 extra weeks to count ballots, I got to keep staff. I don't spend, I got to actually get more funds for running for office so I can go even further than the actual election. Like, I shouldn't have to care anymore at that point. I got to election day. I got to the finish line. Wait, finish line's another 2 weeks down the road? Are you, huh? So it's good questions, good points, good. We'll see. Oh, yeah, this is the districts. Yeah, that's kind of interesting, and it's all the inner of this, right? So all the outer portions, I guess, are non-heavy of a race. Isn't that kind of? It was weird. Like, I lived in Tennessee in this one neighborhood. I don't want to say their name right now, but like one side of the street, like everybody was black, and then the side of the street that I happened to be on was. It wasn't my house, and I was staying there, but they were white, overwhelmingly, almost totally. It was just, I don't know. I always thought it was interesting. Like, it was one of those, like it was the upper state but it was one of the slave states, you know? Like, I don't know. They dropped that N-word around a little more lavishly than I was comfortable with. Like, it was a fun experience. It was a fun experience. Nice people, lovely people. Saturdays, and when Vol something's happening, it's always cool, man. Orange flags everywhere. It was pretty awesome. I lived in the Knoxville area, so it was exceptionally cool. And by the way, when Peyton Manning was quarterback, so that's actually when I lived out there. That was pretty cool. And then two, the basketball coach was that chick. I think she's passed away recently, but she was like the most winningest female coach, and I forget her name, which poo on me. But yeah, she was the coach of the female basketball team. The Vols, and they had a really good ladies basketball, Lady Vols, I think they called her, right? So anyway, cool as hell. It was a good time to be out there. I was lucky from that standpoint. I went Y2K, made it through that whole experience. It was rad. So much fun. I was in radio during Y2K. That was the best. Best times. Man, that's all we talked about. It was out of control. Anywho, more important stuff. ExxonMobil takes California to court over this compelled climate speech. Basically, California wants it to do a report on how its climate change could affect financial performance and what the company is doing to address those risks. And it's like, we are not going to, one, admit to something that we don't agree with, and two, we can't be forced to do that. First Amendment. This is going to be a cool case. It's California overstepping their bounds and trying to force an oil company to talk about something that it's guilty for, and using guilty terms, basically. And there's like, no. And they're going to totally win. They're going to totally win. California has no chance in hell on that. Department of Justice is investigating Black Lives Matter. AP is reporting this, so you can't trust it at all. But the Justice Department is reportedly investigating whether the Black Lives Matter Global Network Foundation and other BLM-related orgs have defrauded donors, like the people that were buying houses. They're at least looking into it. We'll see what happens. We remind you guys, healthy home, healthy choices, and it's just powerful. You want to go to danradiostyle.healthyhome.com, danradiostyle.healthyhome.com. Stem cells help you heal. Like, all the damage that's done, any sort of damage that occurs, if you get surgery and you need to heal, healing is stem cells. Stem cells are like the most important thing. This actually enhances your own body's production of stem cells by 25 to 40%. They're plant-based. It's healthy. It's awesome. I take it every day. It's right here. Booyah. I like the pills, frankly. I don't know. I was taking the packets on it. I don't know, whatever. I like the pills. Maybe it's just because I've been doing the pills for like a year or whatever. But they're awesome. Awesome. Here's the gel. You might like that better. It's easier. Some people don't like pills, right? Like, it's whatever, you got to go. But it's the same thing, same action going on. Balance is helping ladies that are going through the hormone changes that happen in a woman's life. There's two different ages they seem to happen. I mean, this typically for my audience, this is mostly the ladies that are heading out of the baby-making years, but actually girls heading into the baby-making years, same kind of issue, and are having the same successes, by the way. Balance is this crazy thing. It's plant-based. Again, there's no hormones in it. So two ladies I've talked to that were in the same call, one of them, well, both of them were using the synthetic hormone things, the SREvers or whatever. I don't know whatever you guys call them. Okay. They were doing those. One of them liked it and then started using Balance also and loved it. The other one didn't like the SROs or whatever they are and started using the Balance and was like, boom, found paradise, right? Stoked, both of these ladies, right? So it's plant-based. They call it clicks. How many clicks? 1, 2, or 3. You can do more if you need to. But it's a lotion. It's a transdermal. You put it on your wrists. You rub your wrists together. Get it all rubbed in. Just get it up and down. Because you got a lot of blood vessels in here. And you're like within no time at all, really. you're starting to already feel better. It's helped bring relationships back from the brink. It's helped people be able to sleep again with spouses. It's helped people find balance. It's actually a really awesome product that's helping a lot of ladies. And I know I got people that might be in that, part of that crowd. Not that you would ever tell me, nor should you, right? It's none of my business. Amaze is awesome. Collagen is everywhere you need it. Most important protein in the body. It's in peptide form, which means it's like the smallest little molecule possible. So it gets absorbed everywhere in your body. I mean, literally, some of it gets absorbed from your mouth. It's very, very good how it works. But collagen peptide. So you got sagging skin, you got sore muscles, right? You're working out a lot. You should totally be using collagen because it's helping with joints and all that stuff. This is for cultures. It's kind of like eating chicken feet, frankly. It's got that same effect. That's collagen. That's what's going on when you're eating chicken feet for people in my audience that might be of cultures that eat chicken feet or at least understand it. It is that, except it's not disgusting. It's not chicken feet. You don't chicken walk in their own poo, right? You know that, right? I'm just saying. Pigs too. They're delicious, but you eat pig's feet. They walk in their own feces. The foot's the part that I'm most questionable about. Though likely the healthiest, by the way. So again, collagen, here's a different way to get it that's not poo driven. Amaze will amaze you. Your hair, your nails, all that stuff grows. Your shoulders, your joints. It's incredible. Amaze. Check it out. It's collagen sports, the best. Prime helps you get more oxygen in your blood, get it flowing through your body. It's just a nitric oxide booster. That's what it does. Helps you. And then we've got STEM Active for pets. Your pets need healing just like you. It's about half the price. Chewable tablets. It's awesome. It's a great way to get a little extra healing inside your own little ones as they age. This is all about anti-aging, really, for the best way to put it, easy way, because it's when the aging outstrips the healing ability, that's when you start to, right? You see people just start to degrade quickly. It finally broke the other direction, right? Don't let it. Be on top of this. Stay healthy. This stuff's going to keep you going. STEM Active is probably one of the best products here. And then, if you're going through that, this will be like, oh my God, where was this? And then, if you like having beautiful skin, just saying, I love this company. danradiostyle.healthyhome.com. That's danradiostyle.healthyhome.com. Seriously, watch your life change, and you'll be so stoked for it. RFK Jr. is talking about the polio vaccine here. I'm going to let him speak it, and then try to mess it up myself.
Here's the problem. The polio vaccine contained a virus called simian virus 40, SV40. It's one of the most carcinogenic materials that is known to man. In fact, it's used now by scientists around the world to induce tumors in rats and guinea pigs in labs. But it was in that vaccine. 98 million people who got that vaccine in my generation got it. And now you've had this explosion of soft tissue cancers in our generation that kill many, 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 many more people than polio ever did. So if you say to me, the polio vaccine was effective against polio, I'm going to say yes. And if you say to me, did it kill more people, did it cause more deaths than avert, I would say, I don't know, because we don't have the data on that.
But that's a question that we should be looking at, essentially, is what he's saying. And again, you have to be careful how you say it. Trump administration crushes infamous drug market. It was a public drug market. 19 people charged for overdoses. This was in Manhattan, Washington Square Park, I guess. So anyway, Trump's gone into New York now and done some fixing stuff up. Let them sue after the effect. No, we want those drug dealers back on the street. The UN is warning U.S. attacks on cartel drug boats is unacceptable. Again, everyone's playing their part. Everyone's showing who they are. This is awesome. UN, we're going to leave, I'm sure. The UN's going to crash and crumble. It's a deep state organization, was always supposed to be. And we would be like, all right, so we're done giving you guys any money. I don't know if there's a preferred middle finger. Like, does it matter which hand? Like, if it's the left finger, is it more like a past fuck you? Or if it's right hand, it's like future fuck you? Like, do them both maybe? I don't know. This is a complex world we live in, folks. I don't know if you realize that. Las Vegas slowdown. It's deepening as gamblers are rejecting unaffordable Sin City. Dude, wow. Holy shit. I'm not going back. And it's like literally like a 5-hour drive. 4-hour drive. Vegas tourism's down because, look, this is insane. A bucket of 24 Coors Lights, $290.99. 24 High Noon Seltzers, $309.99. Basic cocktails like Bloody Marys are $39.99. 12 shots, $190. Fudge. Think about that. $290 for a 24-pack of Coors Light. How many Coors Light 24-packs can you buy at the grocery store? It'd be so cool if you just bring a cooler in with you. Holy shiz. That's like, you used to get free alcohol when you were gambling. My goodness. Doge team at Pentagon is urgently trying to overhaul America's lagging drone program. It's weird that Doge is being brought into this. Maybe they're just trying to thin it all down, and that would make a lot of sense. I would assume we've got little mini drone projects happening in all sorts of different branches and stuff, and they're like, all right, let's stop this. You all are wasting money. None of you are spending it effectively. Let's think about this. Let's get smart. And so I think they're doing something to that effect. We are getting serious about being able to, I guess, create roughly 30,000 drones a month. I think they're expecting these to be some of the better drones. I think a lot of the sightings that people have seen that are freaking out about, they're like, it's Chinese. No, it's not. There's no foreign drones flying over our land. I promise you that. But we do have technology that flies for sure. And yeah, we're probably working on stuff. There's some companies, again, they can't tell us that. What are they going to come out? That's top secret shit that's flying around. I mean, he can't confirm or deny, right? That's the whole nonsense with the you can't confirm nor deny. They're like, so you're saying they're not working on that? And it's like, I cannot confirm nor deny that your mother had sex with me. Oil spikes on reports. U.S. military attacks in Venezuela are imminent, they say. This is the leak story, maybe. I don't know what's going on. I don't know who's lying, who's playing it like they have to because someone leaked. I don't know if this leak was an intentional leak. Again, something's up here. This was definitely a leak. This is messed up, right? So we get the United States plans an attack on military facilities in Venezuela. We're going to hit the cocaine plants. They had all this information about the targets that we were going to hit. And it went from the Wall Street Journal and the Miami Herald. Now, the Miami Herald's an interesting one because they're likely the paper that broke it, and then Wall Street Journal stole it from them and ran with it and gave it legs. The Miami Herald, U.S. poised to strike military targets in Venezuela, escalation against Maduro's regime. This was put out October 31st, 12:33 p.m., obviously Eastern time. So about 9:30 my time, this thing comes out. Maduro finds himself trapped and might soon discover that he cannot flee the country even if he decided to, the source said. What's worse for him, there is now more than one general willing to capture and hand him over. This sounds like CIA PSYOP, is what it sounds like to me. And they're running with it, and I think a lot of people are like here going, dude, this is what happens. Here's the Wall Street Journal's version of it. U.S. eyes striking Venezuela military targets used for drug trafficking. News at 11. Right? Here's Trump basically saying, yeah, no. Simply told reporters no when they asked him about it. Just no. I wish I had the audio. So, yeah, no. U.S. tightens ban on Chinese tech gear. We are not going to let anything come in with specific components that are internal. This really has to do with devices that contain modular transmitters made by companies on the list that they've got going on. And there's a lot of those things. Solar panels, a lot of different stuff is no longer going to be easy to get a hold of. There's a lot of stuff made in China that has those modular transmitters from these companies, especially Huawei. So just saying. Hopefully you guys were prepared because things are about to get interesting. Japan got a whole bunch of missiles from us, air-to-air missiles, I should say. The AIM-120, the AMRAAM, they got some of them, and they also got the new Sidewinder AIM-9X. They can be fired pretty much off bore sight. They're pretty awesome. The 9Xs are freaking sweet. Anyway, they're getting a bunch of them, $100 million worth of Sidewinder missiles. I don't know how many that, what is that, like 10 of them? I mean, how many is that? Can't be that many. What are these, like a mil each? I mean, they got to be like 10 mil each. Nothing's cheap here, right? Maybe we're giving them a discount. We'll give you 20 of them for $100 million. All right, let's do it. Not that Japanese people would talk like that anywhere. That would trip you out, that's for sure. Fresh Israeli strike again. Testing Trump brokered Gaza deal. This is Israel. I mean, again, they're not good. The one thing Israel's always sucked at, and maybe because they're somewhat of the problem. Again, IDF, I don't know, deep state. I don't want to say the people, the Israeli people, I think are good. But we've got a major problem with this country that just constantly wants to, I don't know, kill everyone around them. They hate each other. It's kind of like India, Pakistan. They just hate each other. Like, all right, you can't fight each other anymore. What are we gonna do? Like, I mean, seriously, like, then that is literally is what goes through their minds. I've spent my entire life fighting them. What am I supposed to do? That's what I think about. It's what I dream about. It's what I try to do. It's what it's very hard to get people to change their mindset. Again, they say it takes 30 days. By the way, if you're trying to change a habit, 30 days. Just keep forcing yourself. 30 days, and then actually it becomes a habit at 30 days, and you can break habits pretty easily. You just gotta. It's easier to create a habit in a bad way than it is to break a habit, right? So breaking a habit, you gotta kind of spend about 4 times the amount of time working on it. Creating a habit just takes about 7 days. You start doing a bad behavior, and you're now in on it. You're in like Flynn. Amazon, Google agreed to inform Israel on data handed over to foreign governments. This is weird. So Microsoft was having some problems with Israel, and now we're finding out that Google and Amazon were, anytime anybody asked about, hey, we want information about such or such, they were feeding it straight to Israel. So they were essentially spying on any and all searches or questions about information. Israel, a lot of the truth's starting to come out about Israel. Again, save Israel for last, quite possibly where we're at. Some of the Russia stuff going on right now. Nearly 100,000 young men have fled Ukraine, which is cool. Thank God. They might actually be able to make a new generation of Ukrainian people save their country. That said, these guys are going to be in rare demand. We need you to fill up 3 Dixie cups full of your madness. 100,000 young men, plus their probably girlfriends and stuff. I would hope. Whoa, skippity doo dah on there. Orban hints Ukrainian sabotage behind a Hungary refinery fire. So they got a refinery fire, and they're actually blaming Ukraine right now. I hope Hungary goes to war against Ukraine. That'd be cool. Because Ukraine's good stuff. They're good sauce. We like them. That's the Journo. What's his name? We like him, though. He's our buddy, right? Erdogan, that guy. Poland, Slovakia, Hungary, Erdogan, DiGiorno, same thing. Right? I was like neck and neck. You see it. You saw it. I know. It was a photo finish. Poland, Slovakia, Hungary, they defy EU by keeping bans on Ukraine's imports. Yeah, they're like, no, we're not. They keep killing our grain prices and stuff, so no, we're not taking them anymore. Then EU's like, you have to. And they're like, yeah, so again, which middle finger matters? I want to make sure I get maximum utilization. Military psychosis. Kremlin. They're responding to Belgian's ministers wipe Moscow off the map. Like he's like, if they attack us and attack NATO, then they're going to be wiped off the face of the earth. He's talking a bunch of toughness, like he's got 4 guys standing behind him with baseball bats, and he's talking tough to somebody in front of him. Yeah, so here's what you're going to do. He'd get his ass handed to him if it was any other situation, right? Tough talk. Royal statements from Buckingham Palace. Apparently His Majesty on Thursday, 30th of October, 2025. His Majesty has today initiated a formal process to remove the style, titles, and honors of Prince Andrew. Yeah, he's had all of his shizzle taken away from him. Andrew will now be known as Andrew Mountbatten Windsor. His lease on Royal Lodge has to date provided him with legal protection to continue. Wow. So Andrew Mountbatten Windsor. So he loses all of his. That's kind of crazy, I guess. He's still inbred though. Like you can't remove that. Come on, King. You can't get rid of the inbreeding. That he is inbreaded. He's ready to be deep fried. He's so inbreaded. That's all I had. I don't know. That was not very funny, but they can't all be. Farage, more trusted to lead the country as prime minister than Starmer for the first time, says polls. Polls are stupid. Whatever. I think England's starting to collectively get there. Hopefully they can avoid a kinetic civil war like we were going through, so be careful. And finally, Ken Paxton's got a giant settlement that happened with Google. Secures $1.375 billion. California, bet you wish you could do that. Huh? $1.375 billion. Gavin Newsom, can you imagine what you could do with that? I mean, you'd probably take half of it. This is historic, though. This is price tag for Google's misconduct, sending a clear warning to all big tech that I will take aggressive action against any company that misuses Texans' data and violates their privacy. Which is cool. That's awesomeness. Good for him. Dude's badass. Hey, we got a kick-ass music show coming up. If you don't watch it live, you should check it out live when the live shows happen, because I've got a very fun community, especially the Friday show. I don't know, Thursday's kind of a different vibe, but Friday's music, it's fun. It's the end of the weekend. Like, it's just some cool people hanging out, drinking some beers, sometimes herbals of some kind. You never know. There's always people. And they're a really, really sweet group of people. So we got that firing off at 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern every Friday. Do music of some kind. This one is Toad the Wet Sprocket is the inspiration behind it. I think I got 3 of their songs. One of them I kind of went with like the basic for the thumbnail. But there's one in there that you'll be like, I forgot about the song. Yeah, and then I got a couple other really, really sweet songs in there. I mean, they're all good, but I got some nice music put together. I brought some very nice music together today. So I hope you guys enjoy. And yeah, you know what? We're going into a weekend. Be good, guys. I love you guys. We're going to come back Sunday. I'll do a show. Saturday, I think I actually got kind of like a day off, finally. It's weird. And then tonight's Halloween, so be safe. And then All Saints Day for those that matters. I hope you have a wonderful one. Say hi to your relatives for me, or I'll say hi to them for you if you'd like. I'm really good at that. All set. I love you guys. We're going to keep rocking forward together. I like this group. I like this team. And I think we're pretty powerful. Where we go one, we go all. It's on the Fringe with Dan RadioStyle.